Hello and welcome. You ever had that moment? You trip on a perfectly flat sidewalk, or you say completely the wrong thing at the worst possible time, and all of a sudden you feel that heat creep into your cheeks. That's blushing. It happens to all of us, but man, is it a weird feeling. Today, we're going to get right into the science of why that happens.
And we're not the only ones who've been puzzled by this. Even the guy who figured out evolution, Charles Darwin, was totally stumped. He called blushing the most peculiar and most human of all expressions, way back in 1872. And he called it that for good reason. I mean, think about it. You can fake a smile, right? You can force a frown. But a blush? No way. It's this brutally honest signal that just broadcasts our inner feelings to the world, whether we want it to or not. You can't start one on purpose, and you sure can't stop one once it's started.
And that really brings us to the central mystery we're going to dig into. If blushing basically puts a spotlight on our vulnerability, if it tells everyone around us, hey, look at me, I'm uncomfortable, then why would we evolve to have it? Why would we develop this bright red flag that seems like such a disadvantage in the social world?
So, to get to the bottom of the why, we've got to start with the what. Let's get into the biology of it. What is actually physically happening inside our bodies when our face suddenly goes from 0 to crimson?
Okay, so at its most basic level, blushing is a physical reaction, pure and simple. Some kind of social or emotional trigger happens, and it causes this rush of blood to what scientists call the blush region. But the most important word on this slide, the real key here, is involuntary. This is not a choice. It's a reflex, something that's hardwired right into our nervous system. It's something that happens to us, not by us.
Let's break down how that reflex works. The moment you feel embarrassed, your body's fight or flight system, the sympathetic nervous system, it just kicks into gear. It dumps adrenaline into your system, and that adrenaline tells the tiny little blood vessels in your face, your capillaries, to open up wide. Suddenly, way more blood is flowing through them, and boom, that's the redness you see. And it's not just your face. Your heart might start pounding, you might start to sweat a little, your whole body is having a measurable reaction.
All right, so we've got the biological what down, but that's only half the story. What about the psychological side of it? Why does this physical reaction feel so intense? Why does it make us feel like we're standing naked under a spotlight?
Well, the trigger is almost always social. It's that sudden, kind of sickening feeling that you've become the center of unwanted attention. You messed up, you broke a social rule, and now you just know that every single person in the room is staring at you, judging you. But here's the thing, are they really?
Turns out, probably not. Psychologists actually have a name for this feeling. It's called the spotlight effect. It's a cognitive bias, basically a trick our brain plays on us, that makes us feel like there's a giant, harsh spotlight following us around, lighting up every single mistake and awkward moment for the whole world to see.
And to prove this was a real thing, researchers did this brilliant, simple experiment. They got a bunch of college students and made them wear what they knew was an embarrassing t-shirt. One with a big picture of a super cheesy, out-of-date celebrity on it. Then, they had them walk into a room full of other students for just a few seconds.
And the results? They were so clear. When they asked the t-shirt wearers to guess how many people noticed the shirt, they consistently guessed that about half the room saw it. But the reality? It was closer to 20%. So this shows pretty powerfully that while we are absolutely the main character in our own movie, we're usually just a background actor in everyone else's.
Okay, so let's put this together. We often blush because our brain exaggerates how much people are paying attention to us. But our bodies still react like the threat is 100% real, which brings us right back to that big central question. If it's all based on this mental trick, why does this uncomfortable thing even exist? What possible evolutionary advantage could there be?
Here is a really fantastic way to think about it. Physical pain is your body's alarm system, right? It yells, "Hey, danger! Stop touching that hot stove!" Well, embarrassment is this social alarm system. It screams, "Warning! Your reputation is at risk. You just broke a social rule, and you might get kicked out of the group."
And this is where it all clicks into place.
A blush isn't a sign of weakness. It's an incredibly sophisticated social tool. It's what scientists call an appeasement signal. It's an honest, impossible-to-fake message you send to your social group that says, "Oops, I know I messed up. I get that I just violated a rule, I feel really bad about it, and I want to get back in your good graces." It's basically a nonverbal, totally sincere apology.
So instead of being a flaw, blushing is actually a feature. It promotes social connection. It shows other people that you care about the rules of the group and that their opinions matter to you. In fact, studies have shown that when people mess up, if they blush, they're seen as more trustworthy, and they're forgiven way faster than people who don't. It's a sign that you're a reliable member of the tribe.
But hang on, the story gets even more complex. Because what counts as a social mistake, the thing that triggers the blush in the first place, that's not universal. The rules of the social game are different everywhere, and they're shaped by the culture you grow up in.
You can kind of look at cultures through two big general lenses. First, you have individualistic cultures, like in a lot of Western countries. Here, the focus is all on the self, what makes you unique, your personal achievements. Then you have collectivistic cultures, common in much of Asia, Africa, and Latin America, where identity comes from your place in the group, your family, your community, your tribe. It's less about me and more about we.
And this cultural programming starts so young. Just look at this example. On the left, a kid's activity poster from an individualistic culture is all about me, my favorite color, what I want to be. The poster on the right, for a collectivistic culture, defines the child through their connections. My father, our tribe, my mother's family. This big difference changes the entire feeling of embarrassment. Individualistic cultures tend to focus more on guilt. Guilt is a private feeling about a specific thing you did wrong. It's, I feel bad because I did a bad thing. On the other hand, collectivistic cultures are often more focused on shame. And shame is a public feeling. It's not just about your action. It reflects on your entire identity and the honor of your group. It's, I feel bad because I am a bad person, and I've brought dishonor to my people.
So the big takeaway here is that a simple blush is, well, it's anything but simple. It's this incredible intersection of millions of years of evolution, a quirky psychological bias that makes us think we're always on stage, and the very specific cultural rule book we've been learning our entire lives. And that leads me to one last thing to leave you with. We've seen that blushing evolved as this honest biological signal to build trust and fix our mistakes in face-to-face groups. So what happens now in our world of carefully crafted online profiles, digital avatars, and Zoom calls with touch-up my appearance filters? When we can hide these honest signals so easily, what do we lose? Are we losing a fundamental tool for real, genuine human connection? Something to think about.